10 a.m.
We're live.
All right, good morning, everybody. This is the July 27th, 2023 Coastal Permit Administrator hearing. The Mendocino County Coastal Permit Administrator meetings will be conducted at 860 North Bush Street, Ukiah, California, and virtual attendance will be available via Zoom. Meetings are live streamed and available for viewing on the Mendocino County YouTube page. Let's see, moving down the agenda, I will go ahead and call the meeting to order at 10 a.m. May I please get a determination of noticing?
All items on the agenda have been properly noticed.
Thank you. So that moves us to the regular calendar, item 3A, which is CDP 2021-0051. The owner is County of Mendocino Department of Transportation. The applicant is AT&T California. Attention Bernie Sopp. The request is an after-the-fact standard coastal development permit for the construction of 43 new utility poles to accommodate new aerial fiber optic cable leading to an existing cell site. Associated work includes anchors and down guys, total ground beds, and clearing of vegetation. The project has been determined to be categorically exempt from CEQA. The project is located in the coastal zone 1 ± mile south of the town of Albion, beginning near the intersection of State Route 1 and Navarro Ridge Road within the Navarro Ridge Road right-of-way, from 33,810 to 30,660 Navarro Ridge Road, Albion, California. May I please get a staff report?
Thank you, Julia Krog, Planning and Building Services Director and Staff Planner for this project. So as you noted, this is an after-the-fact standard coastal development permit for the construction of 43 new utility poles to accommodate new aerial fiber optic cable leading to an existing cell site. There's associated work, the anchors and down guys, total ground beds, and some minor clearing of vegetation. The utility poles, the fiber optic cable, and the associated improvements are intended to serve an existing permitted cellular site, which was permitted under Coastal Development Use Permit U 2017-34. That use permit was approved by the Planning Commission on May 16, 2019. It was appealed to the California Coastal Commission, where the Commission found no substantial issue, and on August 7, 2019, the approval became effective. The tower has been constructed. And I will note the applicants had filed an encroachment permit with the County Department of Transportation to install these new poles and aerial fiber optic cable within the county road right-of-way. And unfortunately, there was some confusion over whether or not that work was exempt from needing a coastal development permit. And after review by planning and building staff, we instructed the contractor to halt all activities until coastal permitting could be sorted out. We did end up seeking counsel from the California Coastal Commission, and they did respond in November of 2020, agreeing with county staff that a coastal development permit was required, and that is the project that is before you today. So the project is fully located within existing public utility easements associated with Navarro Ridge Road. It is approximately a 3-mile stretch of road that extends from west to east. The development's on both sides of Navarro Ridge Road, both the north and south sides, and traverses over the roadway itself. And again, this project serves an existing cell tower, which was permitted at the ending location to the east of the project. So this site is located within county road right-of-way, so really in terms of land use and zoning consistency, the project is consistent. It's normal, pertinent roadway and utility infrastructure that you would expect to see with a roadway. Some of the main key issues with the project, staff did request that the applicant prepare a biological resource assessment, which was submitted for the project. There was several recommendations included for any future work that may occur for the project to protect potential rare plants, including the harlequin lotus and the dwarf checker bloom, as well as any potential wetland areas that may be encountered. And those recommendations are included as conditions 11, 12, and 13 of the permit. In addition, the application and the bioassessment was referred to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife for comment, and they did respond on June 30th of this year, recommending conditional approval and requested an additional condition be added that any revegetation that is done with a native seed mix that does not include any non-natives, and that any shrubs or trees planted in association with any vegetation removal be of local native stock, and that has been included as recommended condition 14. The other key issue is, of course, visual resources. The project has portions that are located within a designated highly scenic area, and the highly scenic area is generally the area to the south and west of the existing roadway, beginning about a half-mile east of the first AT&T pole along Navarro Ridge Road. Staff reviewed the project for consistency with highly scenic area policies, and there's no policies that speak specifically to fiber optic cables or aerial fiber optic cables, but given that the AT&T poles are similar in scope to power poles, staff used the policies related to power transmission lines to guide review of the application and provided the pertinent policies in the staff report. The staff requested a visual assessment be prepared for the application. That's attachment N in your packet. And due to the concerns about the potential visibility of the project from public vantage points, including State Route 1, Navarro River Redwood State Park, and also State Route 128. The visual assessment found that all poles that are visible from these areas either are not owned or controlled by AT&T or predate the work completed by AT&T. There is one pole that is visible from State Route 128, but it is adjacent to an existing PG&E pole, so it really has no change to the visual character in that area. The primary source of visual impact are views from Navarro Ridge Road, and Navarro Ridge Road, I will say, is an established corridor that has unique coastal views south of the roadway, and their staff visited the site. We reviewed the submitted plans, visited the project area, and especially the locations in the highly scenic area. And much of the project has poles on the north side of Navarro Ridge Road, which are outside of the highly scenic area, or others are co-located with existing PG&E facilities. And the remainder of the project has poles located on the south side of Navarro Ridge Road within the highly scenic area. In staff's opinion, those poles on the south side do interfere with the scenic qualities of those areas. Many of the poles located on the south side are the only utility pole in the nearby vicinity, and adjacent lands are open fields or low-intensity residential and agricultural uses. In many roadways within Mendocino County, it is common to have utility poles lining both sides of the roadway, but Navarro Ridge Road is unique that actually much of the utility infrastructure is not directly adjacent to the road. Staff finds that the poles located on the south side of the roadway within the designated highly scenic area are inconsistent with the highly scenic policies of the LCP and recommends that the CPA require that these poles either be relocated to the north side of the road or that the lines be undergrounded, and we have included that recommendation as condition 10 on the permit. I will just note condition 9 requires that any additional work the applicant will obtain an encroachment permit from the County Department of Transportation. And then finally, in terms of CEQA compliance, the project met the criteria for a categorical exemption under Class 4, which consists of minor public and private alterations in the condition of land, water, and or vegetation which do not involve removal of healthy, mature scenic trees, and includes minor trenching and backfilling where the surface is restored. So staff found that it does comply with this categorical exemption. Staff is recommending approval to the Coastal Permit Administrator, subject to the findings and conditions in the staff report. And I am available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. I just want to go ahead and note for the record that on Tuesday, July 25th, I did site view the site, so I'm very familiar with what's out at the site on Navarro Ridge Road. The fact that these are after the fact, these are already established, and basically the CDP is just to legitimize the work that's already been done. All right, so thank you very much. At this point, I will go ahead and ask the applicant to speak, whether it's the agent, applicant, AT&T, to speak on behalf of the project. Afterwards, I will open up the public hearing. I will give each member of the public 3 minutes to speak, and then I will bring it back to the Coastal Permit Administrator. The Coastal Permit Administrator will have questions for staff and or the applicant. and we'll ask those questions as a wrap up, and then finally I'll deliberate and make a decision on this project. So, Julia, the applicant, is that?
Brian Johnson
Brian
is on the
Johnson.
line representing AT&T.
So, Mr. Johnson, I'm going to ask that you take this opportunity to speak on behalf of the project, but I would like for you to identify yourself for the record.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Hi, my name is Brian Johnson. I'm an engineer with AT&T. I actually wasn't part of this initial build. The engineer that was in charge of the job when it was built has gone on to another job, so I'm representing currently, but I don't have a lot of input as far as real details on the project. My involvement basically started when we posted the notices on the polls, the notice of the pending coastal permit back in October-ish timeframe. I was instructed to formally object to the condition number 10, which requires the removal of the poles on the south side of the road. I don't have a whole lot of detail beyond that. I was just told that I should do that. I needed to do that.
Okay, thank you. So I will note for the record that the department has received correspondence. I have reviewed the correspondence. Correspondence in the form of either emails or letters have been submitted. And I think for the most part, most of the correspondence really deals with the visual issues and or support or against the project. So I don't know if staff has any comments regarding the correspondence that's been received.
Sure, I will note, I know the correspondence did raise concerns about whether or not there was proper legal notice on this project. And the legal notice that was completed is in compliance with the requirements both under California Government Code as well as the county's local coastal program. We mailed notices to 600 property owners, as well as we posted public notice within the project area. We posted 3 notices, even though only 1 is required. I know a concern was raised about why there was not notice in the local newspaper, and California Government Code does provide alternative forms of noticing, and that is why we posted the project site and mailed the adjacent notices. So legal notice is compliant for this project. And then secondarily, I will just note for the public on the line as well that the application today is dealing with solely the fiber optic cable. The use permit and the cell tower itself are not part of today's action or deliberation by the Coastal Permit Administrator. The cell tower is underneath the purview of the County Planning Commission. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, thank you for reminding me about that, and I will ask anybody that's speaking on this matter, basically stick to the item on the agenda. We're not here to hear the cell tower. We're here to hear the fiber optic overhead cable and the poles. All right, with that, I will go ahead and open up the public hearing. Any members of the public that wish to speak on this matter may do so. Those that are online, please raise your hand and we'll take you. Okay, so I see the first person is Anna Marie Weibel. Okay, please identify yourself for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, Ms. Weibel.
Hi, I am absolutely appalled to hear that AT&T does not want to go put the poles on the north side or go underground. This project, I've seen it from the get-go since 2019, and appealed it to the Coastal Commission, has been nothing than horrific events. People were trespassing, digging ditches properties that were notified. I know you're not dealing with this, but it's
You're cutting in and out.
sorry. That's all
You're cutting in and out. Can you speak a little louder?
Yes, I'm speaking as loud as I can, and I have the volume full up. Is that possible now? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Can I start again?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. So what I was saying is I feel that it's appalling that AT&T does not want to relocate the poles to the north, nor do they want to underground it. This project has been a nightmare from the get-go, and people were trespassing and were starting to ditch on people's properties. This after the fact project had to be stopped by locals to make that stop work order happen. The AT&T was using their lawyers to threaten the county if the county wouldn't go for letting them finish. And now they don't want to budge. It is absolutely incomprehensible. The analysis in the staff report is not similar to other power poles. Explain that in the comments. You received 8 comments against this project, 1 in favor, but that's from the fire department, and that doesn't go into the details about the visibility issue and the highly scenic issues. Your standard CDP consists of an incomplete, improper analysis, incomplete project description, incomplete setting. The alternatives was moving certain poles to the north side failed to mitigate the impact. Even though there were apparently 3 public notices, I could only see 1, but you guys already addressed that. So this is needs to be turned down, especially in lieu of the fact that the representative doesn't know anything about the project and basically said that AT&T is not going to budge after they were misstating that this needed an exemption. I also think this should not be exempt from minor categorical exceptions. This is a serious issue, and you're ruining, AT&T is ruining the coast, and they've done it in other communities like Santa Cruz, and it's incomprehensible, and you may not adopt this. And I know you can't postpone it for another meeting because you only have 3 days left. This has gone on since 2019.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to the next speaker. I show a telephone number of 1650. Did you want to speak on this matter? Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak on this matter? This is the opportunity to do so.
And for folks on the phone, it's *6, I believe, to raise your hand, and *9 to unmute if you did wish to speak on this item.
Doesn't look like anybody wishes to speak on this matter. Again, I'm going to go ahead and bring it back to the CPA, and I've gone ahead and taken a look at the conditions of approval. All of the documentation, all the comments that have come in. And there is obviously comments asking that poles be relocated underground and so on. I think one of the things that needs to be addressed here, and as part of the record, is that, to my knowledge, we're not talking about digging, establishing, or trespassing. These poles were established within county right-of-way.
Yeah, and also co-located with PG&E facilities
Right.
in some areas.
So here again, we're talking about existing power poles that were used, and then new poles that were established. And yes, there are poles on the south side and poles on the north side, but again, there's also existing PG&E poles on the south side as well. So when I take a look at what's already there, adding a pole here and a pole there is not really inconsistent with what's already in the landscape. The other thing, one of my concerns with condition number 10, and regardless of whether AT&T, is asking to have this removed or object, my concern is that the last thing I want to see is any additional disturbances that are done in the county right-of-way and/or existing vegetation removed. And I did site view this stretch of road on Tuesday, and one of my concerns again is the relocation of these poles or the undergrounding would just cause additional disturbance. And so I'm a little concerned about that. Not so much whether the applicant objects to it or not, but I just don't want to see any additional disturbances that are there to be done in that area. So does staff have any closing comments on this matter?
No, I'll just note that if you decided to leave the project as is, there's no change to the CEQA determination or the environmental review that was completed, but that would include modifying the recommended conditions from staff.
So one of my other questions for staff is that if I choose to remove condition number 10, is that going to affect the CEQA determination?
It would not, because the project is already constructed and would not result in further ground disturbance then.
Thank you. All right, so with that said, does the applicant have any closing comments?
Mr. Johnson, you are muted.
Okay, sorry. No, I don't have any additional comments.
Okay, thank you. So now, after careful consideration of all the evidence provided, the staff report, along with the comments that have been provided from the public, as well as me going out and site viewing the project, I'm going to approve the project CDP 2021-0051, making all of the findings contained in the staff report, approving it with all of the conditions, but striking condition number 10 that requires the relocation. Again, my rationale for that is that applying condition number 10 and requiring the applicant to remove these after the fact poles and causing them to be underground is just going to cause additional disturbance. So I'm trying to avoid any additional disturbances along Navarro Ridge Road. So based on that, the project is approved, finding that it is consistent with the LCP. And again, I'm removing condition number 10. So moving on to the next matter, matters from staff. Do we have any matters from staff?
No matters from staff today.
All right. Item number 5 is matters from the public. Under this item, the Coastal Permit Administrator welcomes participation in meetings. This item is limited to matters under the jurisdiction of the Coastal Permit Administrator which are not on the posted agenda and items which have not already been considered by the Coastal Permit Administrator. So no action would be taken, but this provides an opportunity for the public to speak on anything that is not on the agenda. Do we have anybody that wishes to speak? I see Ms. Weibel has raised her hand. Okay, Ms. Weibel?
Would you like, or is this at 3 minutes as well?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just share my screen then.
So Ms. Weibel, you've asked to speak under matters from the public.
Yes. Hi. You might have heard that on 8/13/2021, the Environmental Health Trust, the Children's Health Defense, and other groups and individuals have won an important appeals court case against the FCC. The United States DC Circuit Court of Appeals found that the FCC 2019 decision to retain its 1996 safety limits for human exposure to wireless radiation was arbitrary and capricious. The FCC now must substantiate how the federal wireless radiation guidelines are safe, and they cannot. Based on the information about this court case, it is high time to rewrite Mendocino County's wireless guidelines, which I asked for not only the Planning Commission, but also the Coastal Permit Administrator many times, because they were signed in 2015. Since then, we don't have 1G, 2G, 4G anymore. We're going to have 5G. And that is so much more dangerous. It is not a communication patent. It's a military patent, and it's stronger than 1, 2G, 2G, 3G, and 4G all together. So please rewrite them and then adopt them when you adopt the plan. Also, that local coastal program amendment, and approve this amendment. And also, we have the precautionary principle, which was adopted on June 27, 2006. It doesn't seem that your bodies give that any value. In addition, the International Agency for Research on Cancer at the World Health Organization classified EMFs as possibly carcinogenic. The National Toxicology Program found clear evidence of cancer in rats from exposure to self-grown frequencies. Nobody has studied if these cables are causing any problem with local people. And local people have had lots of problems since the tower was turned on. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm very disappointed.
Thank you very much. Right, so one of the things I do want to note is that there is an appeal process, so that if anybody is dissatisfied with the decision of the Coastal Permit Administrator, they can appeal the action of the Coastal Permit Administrator to the Board of Supervisors. And I also understand that any action taken by the Coastal Permit Administrator can also be appealed to the Coastal Commission.
That is correct.
All
Yes,
right,
this
thank
project, the project on today's agenda was appealable to the commission.
All right, I just want to go ahead and make sure that the public is well aware of that. And with that, seeing no other items on the agenda, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 10:28 a.m. Thanks, everybody.